In this new world of remote work and remote learning, let's talk about the key things you should have with managing projects in Microsoft Teams. In this video, we're going to cover on creating a folder structure with enhanced security, right? So if you look at this view here of the same team member, you would notice that there's a weird icon there. There is folders that are missing that they cannot see. So we'll talk about how to apply enhanced security to your Microsoft Teams, how to create different tabs that are fundamental and instrumental with managing teams in Microsoft Teams, managing projects in Microsoft Teams. So here we have a planner task or a to-do task with the standard buckets really built for agile type project management. We have an issue tracker that comes in. We even have a team calendar, a modern team calendar view where people can request time off. You can have milestones. A lot to unpack here. So let's get started. Okay, so in the world of today where everything is mostly remote, managing projects is very critical in a digital way. So what we're going to do, let's talk about some of the key aspects or key characteristics your team should have, your Microsoft team should have in order to manage your project. Let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and create a team. We're going to create this team from scratch, and we're going to create a private team. And here, I'm going to follow the naming convention, so all of my projects are prefixed with project colon. So let's just call this console enhancements. And basically what this project team is going to do is the enhanced features for the plat model, Teslas, right? As far as the console. So there's a lot to go into it. There's a lot of teams and engineers that are going to be part of this. So really this is part of a much larger program. So here we want to go ahead and start adding my users. So I'm adding Madison, and say Keelan, and who else? Let's say Kevin. We need Christian in here. And then we need a UX person. So let's just bring in let's bring in Ashley, all right? And then we just go ahead and hit add. So once we do that, the only other member, and here's the other thing, you want to be very intentional for your owners. The only other owner I want would be Keelan as my owner. Then we just go ahead and close this out. Now that's pretty basic, nothing special there. Now once I do that, I want to go into manage the team because now I want to adjust some of the settings. The first thing I want to do is add in our team picture. So all of my projects are going to have like this special work icon, right? This tool icon. So we're going to have that. And then the other thing I want to do is to manage what my members can and cannot do. I don't want them modifying my channels, right? I'm very intentional on when I introduce a new channel, but I really want to maximize the use of my general channel and drive all of my traffic, all of my project activity in that one channel because I don't want things scattered, right? And things get very confusing very quickly. So, out the gate, we're just going to centralize in the channel. As the need presents itself, we will adjust accordingly. Okay, so now that we have our channel, we have our team, we have our icon, our members are all set up. The next thing we want to do is now to create the folder structure, right? And this is why, once you kind of cement this and make this your go copy, it would be really good. Let me refresh this. It would be really good to use this as a template so that way you're not manually creating this each and every time. So here, my folders are going to do project management. This is for my project manager. And then I have one for quality. And then I have one for technical or engineering. And again, all of these folder names are going to be, based on your needs and whatever your scenario may be. So here we have the requirements. Now watch this. Now I'm going to add in external. And this is really meant for my external users, those who are not guests or internal users within this team. That's going to be external. And then I'm going to do another one. I'm going to call this private. And this is for my owners only, right? Now, these are new concepts, not really new concepts. These are needs, but based on the default permissioning, a lot of us do not realize that we can override the permissioning that's needed within Teams. Because, and what makes this happen is the fact that behind the scenes, all of this is just stored in SharePoint, right? So for my external users, let me just open this in SharePoint. And let me go up one level, because now I can manage, itemize the permissioning on this. So just select this particular folder, go to Manage Access. And then once I do that, now I can share this with external users. So I can do a share here and give them edit access, or I can have my external users only have read access to this folder, and then just start typing in those email addresses. So here I can do HairWebs. That one, this is one of our clients. And then here would be, so here's another one. You have to be set up for external sharing. So let me do this really, really quickly. And this may not be your default, so it'd probably be good to show this here. So, and again, this is why you probably have a request service. If you don't have a self-service, maybe it's a request service. And that way you go in here and you can request that you have external sharing enabled for your site. So here, let me go to, what did I name this? So let's just call it console. Let me search on console. Console enhancements here. My sharing option is here. New and existing guests. And then here, this is the magic one here for specific people. And then you will allow them to share this out. Okay, so once that kicks in, now I would be able to share external. So let me skip that step and let's go to the other one. The other one is the private, and this is the same scenario, right? The private, what I want to do is lock this down to owners only. And really, that's the furthest you can lock it down. So here, let me just manage permissions, and then for my who are these people? So for my members, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. So if you're not an owner, you actually will not even see this folder. And that's another scenario that we come across pretty frequently, to where, you know, we have everything in this project. Everyone has read-write access if you're a member, right? And sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want to store things here that you don't want people to modify. Okay, now here's another thing. For my project management, I only want this read-only, right? So for my members, though, you know, they're gonna come in here with edit access by default, I want to drop that down to view only for that folder. Because when it comes to status reports and tracking and project plans and all this other good stuff, I don't want people modifying that outside of the project manager. So now we want to have that locked down. So once that's done, now we can come back here, hit refresh, and hopefully our external sharing capabilities are now enabled. Let's double check and see. So now let me go to open SharePoint, select this guy, and now let's do manage access. I can either do share here or I can do manage access. Let me just go manage access, click the share here, and then you can say specific people. So now let me do dclark@hairwebs.com. And now let's just do a Gmail. Let's say dclark@gmail.com. Okay, so now that's resolved. Oh, so and here's the other thing. So notice how my policies are kicking in. So from my SharePoint administrators, they lock this down. If you saw that in the previous video, that was one of their recommendations. They lock this down to allow you to share to other domains, but not Gmail or personal email addresses, right? So let me find another, let's just say Microsoft.com. Okay. Okay, so I must have only I must only have select domains to share with. So again, this is just double checking my domain. So here, let me I can add a message here and say here is the link to the project site, and that's going to bring the project folder, and that's going to bring this user in just for this particular folder. Okay, now notice what I'm doing. I'm only sharing up this with an external folder to my external users. I'm not bringing them in as guests. Sometimes that is premature. Like if you're not managed, like if you only need to manage files with external users, just set up a folder and then expose that out to the external user versus bringing them in as a guest and then they can see all your chats and your calendar and things like that. Sometimes you're not collaborating in that way. You're just sharing files and you don't know, there's no need to bring them in as a guest if you're only sharing files. Okay. All right. So now that I have this set up, what I want to do, I want to test this capability with Madison. So now Madison, if I switch over to Madison, this is another user and she's going to come in. So now if I go to Teams and then we kind of bring up the team that we just created. And this is going to be the console enhancement. Now, if Madison is like me, she would like to have these all grouped together. So let me just slide so that way all my projects are together. And sometimes the channel that I'm in and out of pretty frequently, I would like to pin that. And you can also pin that so it just makes it easy to get to. And that channel will be right here at the top. So now if I go into Files, notice what happens. Compare the view. The folder that Madison does not have access to, that private folder, it does not even appear. So she doesn't even realize that she's missing out on anything, which is nice, right? The other thing is for my project management folder where I granted read-only access, you will notice that she has a little pencil there with a slash through it, meaning that it's read-only. And this is really, really great for templates or, I just need to view the project plan. I don't want to modify the project plan. And as a project manager, I can ensure that the information that I'm sharing is locked down and only editable to key individuals. Now, once I have this, the last thing I want to bring in is my project templates. And if I look at this project template channel, it's going to have all of my templates for project management, QA, requirements, all my technical. So if you have solution documents or technical assessment documents or maybe discovery documents, all these kind of templates that are branded with your logo and all this other good stuff, you can have all this available and bring that in right in the context of your team. So let's go ahead and do that. So in order to do that, I just click on the files here, and then I do add cloud storage in SharePoint. And then if I'm in there frequently, it will appear here. I got lucky, it appears here. So let me show you if it doesn't appear in that relevant section. You can go to the project templates channel, go to files, open this guy up in SharePoint, go to the document library, and then just copy that URL for the documents library. Now, once you have that URL, go back to your team, files, back to where we were, add as cloud storage, select SharePoint, say use the link, and then hit go. It would determine that this is the site. And then once you select the site, click next. And then over here, if you have more than one library, and then this is the library, even though it shows the folder icon, these are libraries within this particular site. So if you want to create a dedicated library just for templates, that would probably be ideal. And once you see how this comes in, you will see why that may be probably a better plan. So now I have my project templates document. I can click in there, click in general. Notice I have to go like 2 or 3 levels deep just to get to my templates. If I had a dedicated library just for templates, this would be at that first level. I don't have this general in between, right? And I can move these and rearrange this all I want, and that's fine. I can also itemize this security. So if I wanted, say for example, if I had all my QA team members in the QA AD group or Azure AD group, I can then just assign that Azure AD group to read-write access and then read only for everyone else. Very, very handy in that way. So here I brought this in because I have added capabilities to this library as well. I can go in here and modify new templates as they come, because I am like a program manager, so to speak. But then if I switch back over to Madison's persona, you will notice that when the document library comes in from Madison, she as well is going to get those pencils with the line strike through, meaning that these are read only. No harm, no foul. So these are the test cases that Madison wants to work with. She wants to grab a copy of that, bring those over to her particular project. So here we're going to go to the console enhancements, and she's in charge of QA. So she's going to drop these templates into her QA folder. And now she can edit these and modify them as needed for her particular project. So again, what we did, we took a library of templates. We have those locked in read-only mode, but the capability for users to grab a copy and use them for their situation in their particular project. So really, again, these are all built-in capabilities within Teams, but most of these are just not known or understood because they're all implied, and sometimes you just have to understand the technology that's kind of driving this. Okay, so now that we have our folder set up, now let's talk about our tabs. Usually the first tab you want to bring in is a task. So this is going to be the, our task by planner and teams and to do, and for everybody that want to manage tasks, that's the name of it. So here we just want to select this guy. This is a big mistake that a lot of people use. Yes, we want to name this task and it makes sense, but you want to give this a more meaningful title, at least initially, right, and save it off. Only because when you go to copy a task or move a task, if you name all your tasks across all of your projects or channels, tasks, the generic name, they all look the same. And it's hard to make heads or tails of which planner board relates to what channel. So initially, I'm giving this a very descriptive name. And then once I bring it in as a tab, I can rename it because the internal name is going to be reserved. And then I just name it task, which is in context makes more sense for my team. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and create these channels. I use the standard agile channels. So I have a backlog, I have an in progress, I have a ready for review, and then maybe a complete. And then all these swim lanes, I can have these tasks pop up, and then users can create tasks and drive them, or if they're brainstorming, just fill up the backlog and be ready to rock and roll. Now, the way that this would work, so here I just want to say discovery session. So this is probably one of the first things we kick off with our client, and then we click here and then hit add, and now I want to assign this to Madison. So she's going to be in charge of that. And then the other thing we want to do is create some labels, right? So you have your generic labels, and there's a bunch now with the latest versions or updates of Teams. But here, what I will recommend doing is add these labels here, and I'm adding these labels just so I can give them name, because that's a weird thing about it. Like, you can use these labels, but you have to be within the task in order to name them, which is weird. So here we're just going to call this one PM. We'll call this one quality. And again, you can use this whatever you want. So let's call this technical. And really, this is just helping me badge my different tasks with a way so it's very clear on which area these tasks relate to. So here I got, let's just say requirements for this one. And I've seen these labels being used in many different ways. So now that I have these named, I'm going to get rid of them, right? Because I had to bring them on the board just to name them. But this particular task is going to be related to PM. And then you have your due dates, and then your checklist, and then all the other fun stuff, okay? And then, the way that this will work is that you have team members go in and put in their relevant tasks for their pieces of area, make sure they tag them with the right badge. So that way, when the bird's eye view is very clear on which area that task relates to, and everyone's ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now that we have our labels and our buckets set up for tasks, we're good. The next thing you probably want to do is set up an issues list. So here, in order to set this up, the first thing you want to do is to, we can bring it in as Teams. I usually kind of bounce over to SharePoint and create these in SharePoint first and then bring them in. But with the list app, I can create them right here within Teams. So here, let's just create a one. I'm going to call this, I'm going to use the default issue tracker. I think that's ready to rock and roll. And then we just say use template. And then I'm OK with the default name. So just click, 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 and we're done. All right. So this should come in. And now if I have an issue, I can say account creation. Let me say something like service account is not working. Service account is not working. And then I can give a description of that, and then I can assign it to different team members. So I'm going to assign this one to Keelan, so he can go ahead and take a look at this. and then date reported. That should default to today, and then just save that off. So now I have an issue tracking. So I have my task of what we're working on, and then as we test things and there are issues found, I have my issue tracker, and it's all at the team's fingertips, all in one spot. The next thing we probably want to do is set up a team calendar. Now this one I do want to pop over into SharePoint and create. So let me just go into SharePoint, and let's go to the home screen here, and then hit new, and then list. And then, so let me show you the old way and the new way. So the old way is that you click list, but you want that calendar, and it's the old legacy calendar. So here, this is all my legacy list templates here that we get from the previous versions of SharePoint. So here I just go into calendar, and then just call this old calendar. And then hit create. And this guy is going to come in, and if I bring this up, this is coming in a nice calendar view. We can add, events or tasks and things along those lines. And I can just grab this URL, come over here to my team, add this in as a website, and this is your Swiss Army knife, right? This website tab, anything that you want to bring in, third party, other pages, SharePoint pages, news pages, whatever you want to bring in within your team's view, this website tab is usually your go-to. The only restriction it has is that, and if it's still there, yep, it's still there. It has to be a secure site that has HTTPS. We're not going to bring this in because this is the old calendar. So what we want to do, let's go to our new calendar. So if we go to the new calendar, that is used off a straight modern SharePoint list. So if I just go to list, blank list, let's just call this team calendar, showing navigation, yep. We're going to bring this in. So now I have a team calendar. I almost have to build this out because the only thing I have is this title. So for my calendar, I want two key dates, right? And this is going to drive everything. I want a start date, and then I want an end date. Let's go here. And then I want a category. So that way, you can post the type of event it is. And then for my categories, I want to do something like out of office. Maybe let's just say project milestone. There's a key release date or milestone coming up, a key meeting with the client, a demo or something like that. And this is probably one to schedule our releases, right? So those are, and of course, you can add more. Let's just do an other for a catch-all. Put the other here, and then we're ready to rock and roll. So those are going to be my categories, right? So the way that this works, obviously this is not the calendar view that we hope for. What you can do now, let me add a description, because usually sometimes you have to add a little color here for these items. So description, and now we're ready to rock and roll. So now what we want to do is to create a calendar view. So we go to create new. There's a new option called calendar. You may or may not see this. This is a new feature that's rolling out. But when you select this calendar, there's a couple of options that you have to tell it how you want these list items to show up in your calendar. And it's going to pick up all your date types. That's why we're very intentional on when we create these start and end columns that we select a date as a column type, date time, right? So here I'm okay making this a public view. And then when I add an item to the calendar, I'm okay with this. So here we just want to call this the calendar view. I was in here already, so the browser's helping me out. And then hit create. Now I have a regular calendar. Click new. This is my standard out of the box. I can get rid of this attachments, right? Just turn that off. But here, let's just say Deshaun's vacation. That's the name of my entry. And I'm going to be on vacation from the 10th through the 15th. All right. And then here, I'm going to just select that as out of the office. Hit save. And then as we expect with any other calendar view, it shows the duration of that event, and we're ready to rock and roll. If you select on this day, what it does, and this is actually pretty neat, you kind of get that Outlook layout to where it lists all the events for that particular day, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Of course, you can come in here and adjust it and make time an option. I'm not sure how you would do like all day events. To get rid of the time and only focus on the date. That would be a little bit tricky, but now you're ready to rock and roll. So now that this is there, I'm gonna copy this URL, go to my team, and again, use my Swiss Army knife, which is just gonna be my website, or because this is a modern list, I can bring this in as a list, right? And you hit save. It's going to bring it in. It's a list. I can tell it it's an existing. And then there's my team calendar. And now I have my list view. No harm, no foul. Just have to turn our calendar view on. And so users don't have to do this every time. Make this the default. Done. Okay. And now each team member can come up here and add in their time off, or project managers can add in key release dates or modification dates, wherever the case may be. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, 2 more points, and I think we're done. 2 more major points, and I think we're done. The next thing we want to do is to create a calendar, a reoccurring meeting. So here you can tell I was in here before playing around with all of these capabilities. So now I want to set up our daily scrum. This is going to be a reoccurring meeting for this team. So I'm going to do a daily scrum. Now, the one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to invite each and every team member. But when I send my intro email, I'm going to let them know that they need to come in and find this calendar invite, and then I'll show you where it appears, and they need to add it on their personal calendar so that way they're getting reminders, and it gets treated like a standard meeting. This may save you a ton of time, especially if you're dealing with large teams. This is optional. The key thing that's not optional, that's highly recommended, is to bring in the channel, and that's what you do here. So now I have my channel here. I'm going to bring in this console enhancements project, bring in the general tab, and then again, this is why you narrow your tabs down, because you don't want people to be confused where you got the reoccurring meeting in one tab and then everyone else is working in another tab, and they don't know, which channel to go to find this information. So here, I'm going to go ahead and make this a weekday thing. We're going to meet every morning at 8:30, and that's going to be a half an hour. And then what I want to do is drop in the agenda, because I want to make sure everyone is on the same page. And I love these reoccurring meetings for 2 reasons. One, you get to when you record these, and here's another thing I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them that this is my recording disclaimer. Some of these meetings will be recorded. If I record these, all the recordings are in one spot. You just go to this meeting, go to the chat area, and you'll find all these recordings. Very, very convenient. The other thing that's going to be in this one spot is all of the meeting notes. So here, I'm okay with this. We're going to set this up. Now let's just go ahead and send this out. Note that I didn't have to specify any attendees for this meeting. All I had to do was invite the channel. So now let me just hit refresh and make sure that that's being set up. Okay, so we're all set up here. Let me go to my team, go to enhancements, go to the post, and this is the team. So when a user comes in, let me switch over to Madison. So now when a team member comes in, she's going to see this meeting, and she's going to have instructions, right? And I'm going to talk you through how you send the invite to everyone. And then she's going to be able to click on this, and then she's going to click on this option here to add to calendar. This is really important because now she gets the reminders at 8:15, she'll get a reminder, hey, you got this meeting coming up. It blocks her calendar off and all this other good stuff. So that's the step that you want them to do. These team members have to be self-sufficient, right? You don't have to do everything as a program manager, as a project manager. Make them do most of the lead work. And that's something that you talk them through, and that would be in your instructions. Okay, so now this is for Madison. It's going to appear as any other team. The next thing you want to do, now this is one of those things that, it's once you establish, you forget to do it up front, but once you establish this for your meetings, it's like gold plated. So what you want to go ahead into this meeting, actually join the meeting, right? So once you're inside, and there's probably another way to do this, but this is the only way I need to do. But what you want to do is now establish your meeting notes. And this is a one-time setup. So now if I click on the ellipse, I'm going to say show meeting notes. And then here's this option. I have to click this button to say take notes. And what it's going to do behind the scenes, just like we have our issues list, we have our team calendar, it's going to create a meeting notes section or tab for this particular channel. So here we just say welcome meeting or kickoff meeting, whatever the case may be. And then here you can assign tasks, right? You say Deshaun will do an app mention. And this area may be growing, right, to where you can actually assign tasks and stuff like that. And they may be there. I just don't know what the short code is to get this established. So now we have an at mention here, and then I can add other sections. So ideally, the way that you would use this, and you would use this to do your own devices, maybe if every meeting you create a new section, maybe that's a way to help organize it. Or you create sections for different types of notes, right? So maybe if they're task or client task or technical tasks or whatever the case may be. And these are not tasks. These are like, you know, this is what was discussed in the meeting, who's going to do what type deal, with the understanding that that person is going to create their own task and manage it that way. All right. So once that's done, let me just get out of here. Let me kill that meeting there. So now I have, with this particular meeting, I expand it. All my chat messages related to this meeting is going to be here. All my videos and recordings related to this meeting series will be here. And then there's one set of notes for every meeting in this series. And I can click on this and look at the details. And here at the top, you can see there's a meeting notes tab. And now you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so the other thing that you want to do, let me show you 2 more tricks. And then we'll just go ahead and wrap this video up. The other one is creating a chat group. Now, here's the scenario, and we have this until some of the new features that Microsoft announced at the recent Ignite, until those are enabled, these are some of the workarounds that we had to do. So one of the workarounds is that we want to create a private area for certain team members. Now, this can be internal versus external. This can be sub-teams against the overall team. So imagine if I have, for this console, I have the engineers, right? So I have these engineers, and I want to create a chat group so that way we're not polluting, if that's a thing, or making our chat stream within the general team that noisy, because we go a lot of back and forth, and we probably have information that's only privy to the engineers or the tech team. So in order to achieve that, we create a chat group. So I just go to the chats module, hit this edit sign, and then it's going to ask me who do I want in here. So I have Keelan in here. I have Ashley in here. And then I need Madison as well. All right, so these are going to be my engineers. Now, here's the key thing. Once you name them, you want to hit this drop down, and that way you can give your group a name. So let's just call this the console enhancement, and I can abbreviate here engineers. Right? And then to cement this, I just create a sample text. And now that's going to establish my tab system. That's going to cement my name. And then that's going to invite all of my users, right? Now, here's the other thing. We want to chat, but we don't want to be disconnected from the overall team. So we still want our documents that are a part of our team, right? We still want all of this tree structure here available to us. We don't want to replicate this. You definitely do not want to copy this and create a versioning mess, right? So what we want to do now is that, let me actually go to this team, go to open with SharePoint, go to this documents library, grab this URL, go back to that chat group, and again, use my Swiss Army knife, which is going to be my website tab, and then just call this project files, and then paste in the URL here, and then save it. So now I have all of the project files that I see in my team. Whatever I add here would be in my team. Whatever I add in my team would be available here, and we're ready to rock and roll. And then I have a private area for my chat, so we can chat about technical things, and it does not pollute or impact the overall team post. So now if I look at my team post, this can still be generic, general team information, or if you're trying to find who's the best person for whatever scenario or activity, you can highlight that there. Okay, last one. The last thing you want to do, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that for every Microsoft team, you have a Microsoft 365 group. I think we know that piece, but with a Microsoft 365 group, you actually have an email or a distribution group capability. So what does that mean? So here, what I can do, so if I want to email this team, there's this email address just for this team. Yes, we have email address for the channel, but I'm talking about the team in general, like all the team members associated to this team. Now, There's several ways that you can find this, but the best way I found, especially from a user perspective, is to just go to the SharePoint site, go to the gear icon when this pop up, and it's going to show you the permissions, the site permissions. Expand this out, and this is what you want to get to. You want to get to this group here, and then you want to click on this item here to send email. Once you click send email, what that's going to do, that's going to pop you up open in another box the email address, right? So this is going to be the email address here. So here I can grab this email address, and now as a project manager or whatever, and again, you probably want to share this out so everyone knows that, oh, if you need to email this console enhancement project team, just shoot this, shoot an email to this distribution, and you should be ready to rock and roll from there. Now, there's a couple things that you have to be aware of before you can use this email. So here, let me just do a test email, and this is going to fail. So a couple things I want to do. I'm just say test to email team. So emailing the team, and then you just click send. All right. So now what this is actually going to drop that into a group mailbox or shared mailbox. And how do you get to that mailbox? Well, actually, it's already primed and ready to go. We just skip over it all the time. And that's going to be this conversation links. So where any Microsoft team, if you click over to SharePoint, click on the conversation link, this takes you to that general mailbox. But that doesn't really help the team, because I want this team to get email or receive notifications in their inbox when the team is sent. I want all that, and I want to be able to use that email address, because right now I can't email to that email address outside of the network. So we probably want our clients to send their emails or general questions to that particular email address, so all the team members will get that announcement. So how do you turn it on? So you have to go into the admin tab here, and go into groups, where it says active groups. Go ahead and find your group. So I'm going to do console enhancements. Click on this guy. This is going to bring up the settings tab. Right here under settings, this is everything that you're looking for. Now notice that I had to find that email address, because if I search on my global address book, search for people like I do to send email in Outlook, this will not show up. So I want to uncheck this. So I maybe want, and again, this is your discretion, I may want this to be discoverable. I do want every member to receive a copy of the email, and I do want the ability for this to be sent from outside of the team. Once you do that, your email is ready to rock and roll. Any email communication to that email address, every team member will receive it in their inbox, and they can react and respond accordingly. Now that you have all that set, now you're set to send your welcome email. So now I just go into, what was our group name? So we got console enhancements. Notice I just typed in CON, console enhancements, it comes up. And then I can just send my welcome email with the instructions to, meeting invites, adding the reoccurring meeting to your calendar, maybe links to tell them about, if you're requesting time off, where to go to set their time off request, so on and so forth, all the rules of engagement for managing and being a team member of this particular project. That's it. Again, hopefully there was something new that you haven't seen before, maybe that sparked some other ideas or some issues that you've probably been running around with just managing projects within Microsoft Teams. But that's it for this video. Any questions, I'll see you in the comment section. Until then, take care of yourself, stay safe, see you next time.